Hello guys, how are we all doing? Welcome back to a big video today. We're going back to the summer of 2021 when I cast my Premier League predictions for the 21-22 campaign. We're going to look at it now, seeing as there's only 2 weeks left of the season, so I doubt very much more will change. And you let me know your thoughts down below. Just before we get into this video, do drop a like, do subscribe. I've got some absolute clangers in here and some pretty good predictions in here too. So let's get started at the top and work our way down to the bottom. So then, making our way down the Premier League table 4 teams at a time, you can see the current table with 2 games to go sees Man City top, Liverpool second, Chelsea third and Arsenal fourth. And I'm pleased to say I got the top 3 bang on. So I did back Manchester City to win the league at the start of the season. I knew it'd be between them and Liverpool, and I did back City, and it looks as though they're going to get the job done now. Like I said, they'd have to fall over dramatically in these final 2 weeks not to do it. I did back Liverpool to be the second best team in the division. For me, the thing that's hurt Liverpool when it's come to the title race is the fact they've been fighting on all 4 fronts. Obviously, they've got an amazing team, but they've already racked up the League Cup. They're in the FA Cup final. They're in the Champions League final. So to win the Prem as well would have been amazing, but I don't think they're going to do it. I think second place will be correct. And I did put Chelsea to be the best of the rest. Obviously, Man City and Liverpool are streets ahead of teams. Chelsea are in their own little bubble. They've been third for most of this season, and I think that's where they're going to finish. And then in fourth place are Arsenal. I did have them to finish 7th, so it's the first one I've got wrong, and there's many more wrong to come. But yeah, Arsenal have surprised me in a good way. Obviously, the last couple seasons I've looked at them and thought they're actually a bit spineless, but this season they've looked really good. And do you know what? Not being in Europe has really helped them. I think they should be able to wrap up 4th place. So then the next 4 teams are Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United, West Ham United and Wolverhampton Wanderers. With some of these I was quite close, with others not so much. We'll come to Wolves in a minute, but Tottenham, I predicted them to finish 6th. At the moment they're 5th. It looks as if they're going to finish anywhere. It'll be 4th or 5th. I'd be surprised if they did finish 6th with how far Manchester United are behind with the points left. But yeah, I think if I'd have known Antonio Conte was going to come into that Tottenham team, I might have put them up a place or 2. So I think it was a hard one to gauge, but Spurs have done amazing. I think it's going to be close to see if they can break into the Champions League. It could all hinge on the Arsenal-Spurs game, which is actually tonight. Next up, Manchester United. Now, I did have them to be my 4th place team. They've looked set to finish 6th at the moment. Yeah, they're just the worst out of the big 6, aren't they? And probably one of the worst teams I've seen from a big 6 in a long time. Manchester United have been really flaky. The fact that they brought Rangnick in and he couldn't figure it out, and now they're going to look at Ten Hag for next season. I think there's so many problems at Manchester United. The club is rotten to the core. They're obviously the biggest club, aren't they? But they're heading the wrong way when it comes to on the pitch and results and the table and everything. So I think they need to have a big overhaul. I think they need a few summer transfer windows to sort things out, because there's too many big egos, there's too many prima donnas. I think Manchester United need a bit of a clear out. The next team are West Ham. I had them 10th, so to see them in 7th is quite nice, to be fair. I do like West Ham United, and do you know what? They could have finished higher. I think the fact they were fighting in Europe this season has almost maybe killed them in a little bit in the Premier League, and maybe 5th or 6th would have been up for grabs. It might still be, but I think West Ham looks set to finish around 7th, and they've had a great season. I do love some of their players. Do you know what? If they can get into Europe again next season, they could be great, because they were brilliant in the Europa League. The last team are Wolves. I don't know what I was thinking at the start of the season. I was just a bit unsure about this new manager and some of the players, so I predicted them to finish in the relegation zone. I'm really sorry, Wolves. And to be honest, do you know what? You've been brilliant. I really enjoyed watching Wolves this season. Some of their performances have been amazing. Recently, there's been a couple of not so good ones, but overall, Wolves look set to wrap up a top 8 finish, which would be amazing. As we move into the middle section of the table, you can see Brighton and Hove Albion in 9th place. I did back them to be mid-table. There's something about Brighton under Graham Potter. They're just extremely solid. I said 11th, so at the moment 2 places out. A bit of an unusual season, a really strong start, then it did look like they were falling down the table, and then they've bounced back. I remember that week when they won away at Arsenal and they won away at Spurs. They've just hammered Manchester United 4-0, so Brighton a very decent team, and I'm happy to say that's quite a decent prediction. Leicester City, not such a good prediction. I said 5th, and you can understand why based on their last couple of seasons, but I wonder if they're another example of West Ham where playing in Europe has maybe affected their league position. And yeah, 10th isn't great for Leicester, but they could probably still climb a couple places in the last 2 weeks. Crystal Palace in 11th. Now this is one where I've got to say fair play Crystal Palace. The only reason I put them to get relegated at the start of the season was I had reservations about Patrick Vieira, and do you know what? He's proved me wrong. Fantastic, because Roy Hodgson was just so solid there. They just did a solid job under Roy Hodgson. They were never in danger, and I thought disrupting that, Hodgson going out, Vieira coming in, could be what sees a team go down, but if anything, it's been the opposite. They've been brilliant. Some of the players, Zaha, Gallagher, just been amazing this season. So well done, Palace, on finishing mid-table. And then Aston Villa, I got this one bang on. I said 12th. They're currently 12th. Obviously, could maybe go up a place or two in the last 2 weeks. But I'm happy to say that's a pretty good prediction, considering they've had a change in management as well. Obviously under Dean Smith it was getting worse, wasn't it? They were getting closer to the relegation zone, considering the standards they've set themselves over last season. So Steven Gerrard's come in, been pretty good for most of it, and I'm excited to see what he can do with a full season at Villa next year. The next 4 teams are Brentford, Newcastle, Southampton and Everton. Let's start with Brentford, who are one of my favourite teams in the Premier League. Honestly, what a story, Brentford. And I've got so many Brentford fans on the channel, so you let me know your thoughts on this. But I said 15th, I backed them to stay up, and they've gone and done 2 better than that. They're currently 13th, and they're another team where you can kind of say they had a good start, and then it was getting closer and closer to a relegation battle, but then they just started galvanising themselves again. And Christian Eriksen coming in, what a story that is, to go with a new team staying up, which we all wanted to. And Ivan Toney's performed pretty well when he's played, so things have been pretty good for Brentford, and yeah, they look very safe now. Newcastle United in 14th, I got this one bang on. I'm pretty happy with this prediction as well, considering how much they've had change over the season. Do you know what? My prediction was going to be miles out when Steve Bruce was there for the first 10, 15 games or whatever. But yeah, Eddie Howe's come in. They've done amazing. Do you know what? They did spend a little bit of money, but they didn't go crazy. So to see them fly away, you know, how brilliant Newcastle have been in 2022, you've really got to give Eddie Howe credit, and the players that have been there throughout all of it. And the fans, of course. The fans have really helped to get Newcastle over the line in some big games. So yeah, real force and a club with real potential now, considering those new owners. Southampton, if I'd have just swapped them around with Brentford, that'd have been bang on. I said 13th, they're currently 15th, so I wouldn't say they've done much worse than I predicted. I think they're a solid outfit, Southampton. Don't usually expect them to go down, but not that it's been close this season, but they've had better seasons, haven't they? But you know what? Southampton have still done pretty good, and yeah, it's good to see them staying up again in the Premier League. They're building. That's 10 years now in the Premier League, so that is quite the achievement for Southampton. The next team are Everton, 7 places out, and it could have been a lot worse considering the position they were in 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's a really weird one. Everton, I've got to say, have been awful this season. Absolutely awful up until the last 2 or 3 weeks. Then I'll start giving them some credit. We'll come on to that in a minute, but under Benitez, terrible. Initially under Lampard, pretty bad. But when they knew they were in the mud, they really did pull out the results. Some of these results against Manchester United, Chelsea and Leicester really have been what sucked them out of it. But they're not safe just yet, but they do look like they will be. So then on to the bottom 4, we have Burnley, who I did expect to go down. And up until a couple of weeks ago, I was thinking that's a pretty good prediction, considering how many years they've been in the Premier League. So for me to back them to go down wasn't easy to do. And it was looking that way until they replaced Sean Dyche. And I remember a lot of us, you know, everyone in the football world was a bit like, why would you do that? But you've got to say it's worked a treat, and Burnley do look like they could survive. But like I say, it's not over yet. But the lowest they'll finish now is 18th, so even then my prediction wouldn't be right. So well done to Burnley on giving it a go and look like they might just survive. Next up are Leeds United, and this is completely wrong. Just like with Wolves, I said Wolves would finish 18th, Leeds 8th. It's the other way round at the moment. Leeds United have had a real bad case of second season syndrome. You can factor in how many different reasons you want. Injuries, the style of play, getting found out, the change in manager. But ultimately, we all know, no matter what, it has been worse this season than last. Last season, they were completely new. They were a breath of fresh air, and they were just taking everyone by surprise. But this year, they've taken us by surprise for the wrong reasons. So it's pretty worrying for the Leeds fans. It could still be a season where they survive, and they're a big club, so they really do want to, but at the moment I worry for them. There's only 2 games left. Next up, Watford. Now, I did back them to survive. It's a weird one, this. I said they'd finish 16th, and do you know what? For times this season, they've looked all right, but since they've been in that bottom three from just before Christmas or so, they haven't really looked like breaking out of it. It's a real shame for Watford because they'd started okay, and through times this season, they picked up good results. I remember that 5-2 win at Everton and some good results, 1-0 at Villa, but Watford over the course of the season haven't been good enough, but they've not been the worst team. I do think, though, they'll be strong in the Championship next year. The worst team have been Norwich. I did back them to survive. I'm not 100% sure why. I think Norwich fans wanted to see me do that, and I can understand that. Norwich fans obviously want their team to survive every time they get there, and it must be so frustrating to see them come down every year. I don't know what to expect now. I will be honest, I think Norwich will be in the top 2 in the Championship next year. But then I just worry that they'll go down again. I just don't know how they're going to break this cycle. Do they need to invest? Is there a change in ownership needed? Norwich fans, you let me know down below. So then guys, that wraps up today's video. That is me reacting to my Premier League predictions from the summer, from about a month before the season even started. I've got to say I'm happy with some, but some are miles out. And some have surprised all of us, let's be fair. Make sure you've dropped a like and subscribed. Got your comments and thoughts down below. And I'll see you in the next video. Peace out.